sorry guys. Why I'm... Oh my goodness. I don't even know why this is happening. Okay. I don't know why this is happening to me right now. I'm a little bit... I thought I could get it together, but... Okay, let me just go into it. This episode made me so emotional. Okay, I should just say right now that I skipped last week's episode because there was a 2-week break in between, and I just realized that I also hadn't posted my video on Beginnings, the 2-parter episode. So, I'm doing that several weeks late, but I skipped last week's episode too because for some strange reason I liked the episode, I guess, but after that 2-week break and after the 1-hour episode, I don't know, it felt a little underwhelming. But I'm going to talk about it in this episode too, but mostly I'm going to focus on the episode that came out tonight, and I just watched it, and this, and I don't know why, I've watched so many other things that are probably way worse than this. I don't think I've cried at something on television or a movie since Toy Story, so I don't know what in the world is going on with me. But this episode, I just need to stop. I need to stop. This is not like me. Okay. So let's start talking about last week's episode first. I thought it was an improvement upon Korra's character. I really loved the fact that we get her, see her be nicer, and she's the patient one, which is kind of interesting. It's kind of the relationship that's swapped. And last week the episode was pretty much all about Tenzin and his frustration about not being able to go to the spirit world, and how it's his shame kind of comes from that. And you know, I really like the fact that I don't even know where I was going with that. Something about, oh no, the siblings. I like the siblings, and you know, it's kind of interesting the fact that he bears some of that grief for not being able to go to the spirit world, and he's Aang's son. I like the fact that he's addressing that. I thought that was really cool. And the fact that he was the impatient one in this episode, and like, forget it, let's just move on. And Korra was the one who's just like, okay, I don't want to rush anything, but can we, you know, move this along a little bit? And she was so nice in this episode. It was jarring to watch because she's been so insufferable during the season that it was a welcome change to me, and I really enjoyed that. Korra's character, I'm hoping she stays that way. As of this week's episode, it looks like she does, but you know, I'm hoping that she learns from this lesson and doesn't hit a reset button for season 3. But I thought it was nice, and you know, it didn't shock me when I heard that Tenzin had never been to the spirit world, because honestly, this was apparently a misconception with me, that I thought that very few people were actually able to go to the spirit world. So I don't know why I thought that, but yeah. But it also didn't shock me just because of the way Tenzin is, and he's a really by-the-book kind of guy, and not kind of... He doesn't... This is funny to me. He doesn't have an airbender spirit. He's very rigid and almost, I guess, earthbender-y in his way of thinking, because even though earthbending isn't always rigid, but he's very rigid, very, you know, even watching him airbend sometimes, even though air is supposedly the element of freedom, even his airbending sometimes doesn't look as free as his kids' airbending do. And I thought before it was just kind of, you know, his kids, they're kids, you know, they're more free than he is. But, you know, it's just because of his attitude. His attitude's a lot more rigid as opposed to his kids. And I found that really interesting, that he doesn't have so much an airbender attitude. He forces trying to have an airbender attitude, which I think is very, very, very human. And it's the reasonable reaction for someone in his situation, because he feels like he's got all these standards that... Oh, my bad. He feels like he's got all these... I should turn this off. I he feels like he's got all these standards that he needs to live up to because of being Aang's son. I mean, you're the Avatar's kid. There's a lot of expectations for you. And, I mean, just the fact, I mean, even Boomy having to think about that. I mean, when you saw that one part of the episode where he went up to Aang's statue, it was just like, I'm sorry I didn't turn out an airbender like you hoped I would. I mean, it's just the weight of being the son of the Avatar, or a kid of the Avatar, period, is just something that I thought that they portrayed really well. It's gotta be tough. It's gotta be really tough. You've gotta live up to the expectations that have been set by your parent. So, I mean, there are some people who don't necessarily crack under that weight, and I think of, like, Lin Beifong, even though I've got some gripes about Lin Beifong, I'll talk about later. She seems like she's just been off the wall crazy this season. Like, what is wrong with her? But anyway, I like the way that they talked about Aang's kids and the fact that Aang wasn't perfect. It's a normal family dynamic that I'm glad that they didn't kind of idealize this family and make it seem like they were all well and good because they want it to be nostalgic to the people who would watch the original series. You can destroy Aang's family, that's great. I mean, they didn't necessarily destroy Aang's family, but I just liked the way that they approached this. It's a very, very, not common, but it's something that you could see. And so when Jinora is the one that's able to go into this, which I kind of saw that coming, I'm pretty sure everyone did, because she's the one who was kind of, you know, in the more spiritual zone than, you know, her brother and sister, or really anybody in the series. She's a lot more open. She seemed a lot more open. And so, you know, Tenzin's reaction to that is very, very believable. And the fact that he concedes so easily to her, at first he's just like, no, absolutely not. And then he kind of catches himself. He's like, okay, you do it. Because, you know, that's the best thing for it. And so yeah, I liked that part of the episode. The part of the episode that's really starting to annoy me, was that this episode? I think it was this episode. With Mako, Asami, and Bolin, and Barrick. They're not necessarily taking the Barrick thing where I thought it was going to go. I'm not sure how I feel about that still. But, I like the fact that he's still insane. But I don't understand why Mako's pretending like he doesn't necessarily know what's going on. Or why Varric... I don't know why they're beating around the bush when they're talking to each other, in other words. And of course, obviously, Asami and Bolin don't believe him when they tell him Varric is behind everything. And they assume the whole crazy bit. Which, I don't like that either. It seems like all the characters in relation to Mako are going through this I can't use that word, stupid phase. And they're just not thinking rationally, especially Lin Beifong. And she annoyed me to the point where it was just insane, because all this stuff is right in front of her face, and she should be, I mean, why in the world is she going to trust these obviously crooked cops over Mako, the Avatar's freaking boyfriend, who helped stop Amon, a guy who was literally staging a revolution. He helped stop a guy who was staging a revolution, and you're gonna believe your crooked cops over him. That's another character that really annoyed me. It feels like they hit a reset button on Lin, and not even just a reset button, it's just a stupid button, because she's not using common sense. I don't know what in the world is wrong with her. And, let's see. I mean, Asami and Bolin, I mean, I don't know how I feel about the way that they're talking to Mako, because I feel like they should trust him a little bit more. But, I don't know. And I don't know why Mako waited to tell them after Varric was not in their sight. It's not like he wasn't hiding from Varric. I mean, he strongly implied it, and it seemed like he was only addressing Varric when he said it, so why didn't he just come out and accuse him right then and there? Because, I mean, I'm sure he would have come up with some sort of clever excuse, but still, I don't get this whole beating around the bush thing. It kind of annoyed me. But I did kind of like the way that they didn't make Varric just outright evil, because, well, he's a bad guy, I guess. But, you know, I mistakenly said some things in an earlier episode about him being from the Northern Water Tribe. He's not from the Northern Water Tribe, he's from Southern Water Tribe. And he, you know, he's a businessman, and that's where his alliances lie. His alliances lie neither with the North Pole or the South Pole. His alliances lie with Varric. Varric's alliances align with himself. So he's basically, you know, a comment that he said to his mom, if you can't make money during a war, you just can't make money. So he's doing this for the money, basically. And, you know, that's fine, I guess. I don't know. I like the fact that they didn't make him super evil and that being crazy was his facade. I like that he's still absolutely insane, but he's just cunning. So, I don't know, that's something that I kind of like the fact that they didn't make him just evil. They kept him being off the wall insane, which is really cool. Aside from that, the ending with those characters, that really annoyed me. The fact that she arrested Mako, this adds to the anger I have for Lin Beifong. I'm sorry. She's stupid, okay? I would not have said that last season, but this season she is stupid. There is something wrong with her. I don't know what's in the water, what's in the rocks, what's in the metal, but she's not okay. That's the decisions that she's making are not of someone who had been on the police force, and definitely not someone who's been a police chief for apparently years. And it just does not make sense. It floors me that she would make such dumb decisions. Based on the word of these two cops that of course we've never seen before, but it's only assumed that they were characters that they existed before this season. But still, they're going to believe even this. They're going to believe the triple threat triads who are they're off. What's the word? I don't even know what the word is I'm looking for. I'm just too frazzled up here in the brain. They're crooks, basically. They're a gang. She's gonna believe the triple threat triads before she believes Mako. Like I said, I've established his credentials earlier, but it's just unbelievable to me that she would not even stop to think that maybe what happened was that they found money and I think explosives, I don't remember exactly, in his closet, and that they said that the triple threats were all paid off and that they paid him too. That angered me that she wouldn't even think for a second that was planted. That angered me so much. It made no sense. I mean, why would Mako even do that? Knowing Mako's personality, he is not that after money. His brother is a mover star right now. Why would he be so after money? It makes no sense whatsoever. Mako's working on the police force, not necessarily for money, but because he wants justice. Or at least that's what my interpretation of it is. Why in the world would he be after it for money? It makes absolutely no sense to me. You've seen this kid, you've seen his morals, you've seen the way that he works. Why would you assume that he'd go back to the triple threats and for money, or for filthy lucre's sake, basically? It makes no logical sense. She has, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. And, I mean, I can go back to Varric right now, and the cryptic, warning that he gives to Mako. I don't know. I mean, the cryptic warning he gives to him is okay, I guess. It's in Varric's style. I was going to say Vatu, that's a completely different thing altogether. But it's in Varric's style to be all cryptic like that. And the fact that he's still kind of crazy and quirky when he's giving his threat is really cool. And the fact that they're staying true to the character. But everybody else is just dumb. I don't know what's wrong with them. So, I don't know. Those are my gripes on that episode. Maybe I should have split this up into 2 videos instead of trying to do it all in one, because I've just basically gone on a rant about how dumb all the characters are that are not a part of the Korra storyline, basically. See, what they did when Korra and Mako broke up, what they did is that they separated the storylines, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. I mean, the storylines were already separate together, but they absolutely severed them when they broke up. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I guess it's fine, but it just, this other storyline with Varric now seems underwhelming now that Korra's got herself back on track, which leads me into the next episode, where we have none of them whatsoever, and we just go into the spirit world with Korra and Jinora. And this is the episode that made me really emotional. I don't know why, but it just stirred up so many feelings, so many nostalgic feelings, and so many other new gushy inside whatever in the world is happening to me type of thing. But in this episode, Korra and Jinora are in the spirit world, and they get separated. And Korra, I mean, I don't know if she knew that or not, that she can't bend in the spirit world. And obviously Jinora knew that, but I would assume that Korra would have known that, and maybe she just forgot. But immediately her negative attitude causes all the spirits to go absolutely insane. And that results in her and Jinora getting separated. Korra ends up in this scary forest, and she regresses back to being a child. I think she was 4. Yeah, she was 4, because it was whatever age she was in the very beginning, where she's like, you gotta deal with it! So, she regressed back to that age, and this is the part where I started freaking out, okay? Brace yourselves. I was, oh my gosh, when okay, so I heard the voice first. And I was like, that sounds like, oh no, is it? And then you turn around and then you see who else but Uncle Iroh. And I was like, it's Uncle Iroh! And I was absolutely going crazy. Because they cut to commercial right after that. So I was sitting on my bed, I mean, right where I am right now. And I was just like, it's Iroh! It's Iroh! It's Iroh! And I was screaming. I'm pretty sure everyone else in the house were wondering what in the world was wrong with me. But I was sitting here screaming, it's Iroh! It's Iroh! He's back! Ah! And so I was done. I was gone. I was done. The world was gone to me. It was just Iroh. The nostalgia began to well up within me. And I was like, yes, absolutely yes. But there's one thing that I feel like I should note, is that when watching the episode, Iroh sounded a little weird to me. He didn't sound like, I mean, he still had the same voice, but the way he was talking just felt weird. I don't know if the guy, I don't remember the new guy's name, who replaced Mako once he died. But, I don't know if he's just out of practice, because the last episode of Avatar was in 2008, which meant that they were recording either early 2008 or late 2007. So it's effectively been 5 or 6 years since he's played Iroh, if I remember correctly, anyway. And maybe he's just out of practice, but it sounded quite strange to me. It took me out of it a few times, but the nostalgia blocked everything else out, so it didn't really matter. Kind of the fact that he was able to kind of guide her into learning a little more about the spirits and how her emotions kind of affect the spirits. I thought that was really masterfully done. I thought that was beautiful. Working towards her saving a little baby dragon bird thing, I don't remember what it's called, and it converges into one big dragon bird, and then they help her, and she's back to her older self, and yeah, they fly away. But one thing that the parallel is, this episode is just chock full of nostalgia, because Jinora ends up in Wan Shi Tong's library, which I found very interesting. When I saw the owl, I was like, oh my god, I don't know if the owl in this episode is the same voice actor as it was in Book 2 of Avatar, because they sound a little bit different, or maybe they're just out of practice too, but they sound a little bit different, I don't know. He doesn't sound as epic, which, I don't know, maybe they were going for that on purpose, that he was supposed to sound a little more sleazy, as opposed to the way he sounded in the beginning, because he doesn't sound as wise. But one thing that I thought that was kind of humorous, that they played on for humor, was the fact that he's a little behind where new technology comes into play. So the foxes, the knowledge seekers, apparently one told him that radios, Janora kind of uses this to start up the conversation with him, because he's like, the rules have changed, you can't bring me knowledge and I'll let you in my library anymore, that's not how it works. And so she tells him about radios, and he's like, oh, I know what they are. They're boxes with tiny men that sing songs and play instruments in there. And so she's like, no, that's not at all how it works. And then she begins to explain it, and he's like, okay, I got bad information. Anyway, I'm not letting you in. And so she's like, I came with the Avatar. He's like, oh, the Avatar? Why didn't you just say so? Come right on in. Flappity, flappity, flap away. And I thought that was a little strange, because when I was watching it, I'm like, did he... Because I couldn't recall from book 2... I know that he collapsed the library because he was angry with them for using what he thought the knowledge was to gain the upper hand on other humans. So, if I remembered correctly, he did not like Avatar Aang. If I remember correctly, I don't think he ended up liking Avatar Aang in the end. I know he didn't like Sokka, but I think. It's been a while since I've watched that episode. But I was thinking, I'm like, I thought he didn't like Avatar Aang. I'm like, oh, maybe something happened in between. But it also seemed very strange the way he's just like, oh, come right on in. You should have said the Avatar, because no one really ever says that anymore in the spirit world, I've noticed. That, oh, the Avatar, come right on in. I mean, it's strange to see now. But yeah, that was a little strange to me. And then she goes looking around for information and asks one of the knowledge seeker foxes, and they show her. And then something that made me so mad happened. What is the name of the library owl guy? I feel like I should Google it now, but I think it'll take too long. I don't remember the name of the owl. Did I say it earlier? I don't remember, but it's... Anyway, he appears with Unalaq, and I was so mad after that, because I'm like, you dumb spirits. You are so dumb. Why would a spirit support harmonic convergence? It will support Vatu. Oh, well, maybe he doesn't, he knows, never mind. What am I talking about? Why is the wisest spirit choosing to side with a man who is... Okay, I don't know, but let me try and explain it this way. I felt like he was doing stuff that was completely opposing his principles all the way. Because he didn't like humans trying to use knowledge to gain the upper hand on other humans. Or, you know, whether it be good or bad. And he said it's detrimental for the world, if I remember correctly. So why in the world is he going along with this guy who that's all he's doing? That's the point of everything he's doing. He's releasing a spirit of basically evil that's been trapped for the past 10,000 years. That's what he's planning on doing, and you're okay with this? And he thinks that he's gonna get some sort of, I don't know what, I honestly don't know what Unalaq thinks he's getting out of this. I don't know if he's expecting to become the evil Avatar, if he's gonna be the host of Vatu. I don't know what the heck his issue is, but it makes absolutely no sense to me. Why in the world the owl would be an advocate for this? It just blows my mind. It doesn't make any sense. And I don't know. It's not within the owl's, or really any spirit's, self-interest. And I don't know if Vatu has turned him evil, but he seems like he's exactly the same as ever. So I don't know what the heck is going on here. Why in the world this spirit would go against everything that is his principles to follow this guy who's basically getting ready to destroy the world makes no sense whatsoever, because the owl, since he's the wisest being ever, should know that both the human world would be decimated and the spirit world would be decimated. Both of them would be just destroyed into nothing, basically. I don't know why in the world the knowledge spirit would do that. So, blows my mind. And then Unalaq goes, and this is the part where I guess I started to freak out a little bit. I started to get a little emotional when Unalaq Well, not when Unalog captures Jinora, because I'm like, oh, bad guy captures, damsel in distress. Which I really hope I would have hoped that Jinora would have had a better role than just damsel in distress. That was a little annoying to me, actually. But the fact that he captures her, and then what really upsets me is when Korra is about to go and close the spirit portal, he shows up and is like, hey, you need to open the other one. Well, Vatu actually starts talking to Korra, but of course he addresses her always as Rava, which I find interesting. He addresses the spirit within her as opposed to her, which I find kind of interesting. And Korra answers him, from, it seems like it's from her, not from Rava. But anyway, Unalog shows up and is just like, hey, open the other spirit portal or I'm going to kill this little girl. So apparently, his little spirit waterbending hoo thing that he does, that can exercise the soul. That'll destroy the soul of the person. Because they didn't enter in their physical bodies. So they can't bend, which really sucks. But, destroying Jinora's soul, basically. I'd like to know more about that. I don't know how that works. But she agrees, which is the dumbest thing ever. Because why in the world would he let Jinora go after that? I mean, he's evil. He clearly doesn't care about his own kids. Why would he care about his niece? Who's the Avatar, which he's trying to defeat. So, I mean, I don't know. It just seemed like a doomed if you do, doomed if you don't type of thing. So, I don't know. So, she goes and opens the other portal. And, it shows a close-up of Vatu in the tree. I might have confused... earlier on, I might have said Rava in place of Vatu at some point. So, I'm sorry if I did that. But you see Vatu in the tree, and it seems like he's increasing in power, which sucks really bad. And then he starts to try and exercise Korra. And then the dragon bird thing that she freed earlier comes and saves her. And she wakes up. And Tenzin's there, and naturally he's freaking out. Like, where's Jinora? Why isn't she waking up? So, Jinora's still stuck in the spirit world. And then it just cuts off with me crying. And, well, I didn't actually, cry, sobbing tears and stuff, but I don't know, it was a lot. It was a lot for me, coming off of last week's episode where I felt underwhelmed. This week's episode felt completely the opposite. I was in a state of, I don't even know what I was in a state of. I was nostalgic, I was upset, I was feeling the frightened empathy with the characters. I mean, if the show is supposed to evoke these type of emotions, it's doing its job well, at least for this girl right here. Showing Iroh in Wan Shi Tong's library, those two very prominent references to the original series, it was wonderful. It was a nice little callback. Wonderful. But I don't know, when Jinora was taken away and was about to be, her soul was about to be destroyed, I was like done then. And then when she opened the portal, I was so upset. And then when he's about to destroy her, it was even worse. And then Tenzin comes and he's like, what happened to my little girl? And then he's just like sitting there over her body, which her body's not moving obviously because she's still in the spirit world. I'm like, and then the end credits roll and I'm sitting here like, what the heck just happened to me? But man, I want to know what happens in the next episode, obviously, because there are a few more episodes left. There are going to be 2 hour-long season finales this year. And I don't know what's coming up. I don't know if it's next week or I don't know what's going on. But anyway, I'm ready for it. I'm ready to find out what happens. This episode was, it was a tearjerker for me. It was an emotional roller coaster that sent me spiraling, and man, it totally made up for last week's episode because I felt really kind of let down last week. It was nice to have Korra back, but this episode felt like it could hold. It was a good episode. So yeah, I don't think I really have much else to say. I mean, I've taken up 30 minutes and 19 seconds. So I'm not sure if I'm going to split this video into two or not. I probably won't because I'm too lazy for that, but yeah, this was the episode. So, yeah, let me know what you guys thought of the episodes that I included in this, thoughts on video. So, thank you all for watching. Let me know what you think in the comment box below, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you very much. Peace, love, cactus juice. Later!